Assalamualaikum and hello. Today I will present about the story of success and failure, the definition of the issue selected. Success, the satisfaction that comes from knowing that one has done everything that one can to become the best version in anything. It is the position of having completed and attained a goal or objective. Being successful requires achieving desired visions and objectives for that moment of life. Failure refers to a state of inability to perform a function or achieve a goal. Failure can be an excellent lesson in the long run. It enables someone to look and learn valuable lessons from it. A fundamental technique of learning from failure is to do a failure analysis and investigate the causes of our failure. This is effective if the cause of the failure may not be entirely visible. It is wonderful to be aware of what we are doing in our career and businesses. Besides, failure feedback may provide us with learning opportunities by starting what we do is wrong. Internal auditing refers to evaluation of the internal controls of a company, which includes the corporate governance and accounting process. It is also defined as an independent, objective assurance and consulting activity designed to add value and improve a company's operation. Internal auditing plays an important role in an organization as it can help the company or organization to fulfill their objective by improving the effectiveness of risk management, control and corporate governance process. The main objective of internal auditing is to assist members of the organization in carrying out their obligations effectively. Internal auditing will offer them with analysis, recommendations, and information regarding the activities that took place. Contrast with the external auditor, the internal auditor will analyze the organization's reputation, growth, environmental effect, and employee treatment to the financial statement and risk. They completing the job by combining assurance and consulting, such as informing the managers about the effectiveness of the system in order to maintain the organization on a good track. Success and failure in internal auditing depends on resources availability, competence, and independence of the auditor itself. Good internal audit in an organization continues to gain new stakeholders as a provider of value-added business collaboration, which can be seen in a few case examples. Internal audit has been a unique position to assist organizations in responding and adapting to new circumstances. As risk changes, the structure of response will change, as well as the organization must remain relevant as internal auditors moving forward. Thank you.
Hi everyone, my name is Shala Stella Binti Abumbahau, and now it's my turn to explain why isn't an issue in the topic that you are interested in. TOSHIBA comes into my attention in terms of success and failure story of the TOSHIBA and how they manage the financial report throughout the audit trail. We will find the failure and operating profit led by the top management of TOSHIBA. TOSHIBA Corporation traces its history in Japan to 1875. The company robbed the post-war Japanese bond in the late 1950s to high growth and expanding catalog of unique and innovative product. TOSHIBA began selling product in foreign market during this period and continued to expand its business across the globe during following decades. As of 2020, the conglomerate operates business units on a worldwide scale in a variety of device industries, including semiconductors, personal electronics and infrastructure, homes, appliances, and medical equipment. TOSHIBA reported that net worldwide sales of more than 3.38 trillion Japanese yen, or 31 billion for the 2020 fiscal year. It employs more than 125,000 people worldwide. Based on the audit report, the investigation committee observed that according to the division of duties rules of TOSHIBA, the corporate audit division is in charge of auditing the corporate divisions, the companies, branch companies, and affiliate companies. However, in reality, The corporate audit mainly provided consultation services for the management being carried out of each of the companies. It rarely conducted any services from the perspective of an accounting audit into whether or not an accounting treatment was appropriate. The observation of the committee gave the impression that the fault of the internal audit in TOSHIBA was that it focused on consultation services rather than assurance services. Should internal audits avoid providing consultant services? I do not think so. It was not the fault. It was not the fault of internal audit that it provide consultation service. The fault that was it did not pay attention to the auditing audit. At TOSHIBA, to the top management used to set targets and are unachievable. There was excessive pressure from the top management to achieve those targets. The variable pay is a significant portion of the total pay. The compensation of executive officer comprises a base compensation based on a little and a whole compensation based on work content. Internal audit can function independently only if the audit committee is capable, independent, and effective, and the internal auditor reports to the audit committee. In TOSHIBA, the audit committee was neither capable nor independent. The three external members of the audit committee had no knowledge of finance and accounting. An chief financial officer (CFO) who was the CFO during the time frame when accounting irregulation occurred, was the only whole-time members of the audit committee. Therefore, the internal audit was not independent of the management. Earnings management had the tacit approval of the top management. Therefore, it is not surprising that the accounting audit was excluded from the scope of the internal audit. Is it incorrect to infer that accounting audit did not receive the attention of the internal audit because it's focused on the providing consultant services? Organizational culture also determines the effectiveness of the internal audit. The investigation committee observed a corporate culture exists at TOSHIBA whereby employees could not act contrary to the intent of the superior. In such a culture, an upright internal auditor cannot survive, particularly if he's not the independent of the top management. Perhaps it is the reason that internal audit is in TOSHIBA had an organizational culture that also determines of the effectiveness of the internal audit. The investigation committee observed a corporate culture exists at TOSHIBA whereby employees could not act contrary with the superior. And perhaps it is the reason that internal audit in TOSHIBA had chosen the easy path, focusing on consultant services only without reporting internal control weakness. At internal audit, the eyes and ears and go to the man of the audit committee. Therefore, the internal audit failure leads the government failure. That's it from me. Thank you.
Assalamualaikum and salam sejahtera to Madam. My name is Nerzana binti Sirhan. I will present my part, which is how TOSHIBA related to internal function. First is governance. Governance is role to set direction in form of policy, standard, and guidelines. In TOSHIBA, Hisao Tanaka is the president and has resigned in July 2015. The top management has a history of setting impossible and one of the first company to implement the corporate framework comply with required norms. Second is policy on risk management and compliance. The relevant business division are the first line of the TOSHIBA Group's three-line internal control system, followed by the administrative division and the audit division. The system is built to manage risk effectively by giving each line a specific role and set of responsibilities that it's make correct, fulfill while also acting as a check and balance. We will make sure that good risk management in order to respond to change in the business environment and to the various and ever-changing risks that arise when executing company activity. That's all. Thank you.
Hi, my name is Noraini binti Clement. My matrix number is 2022682086. I'm going to present number 4, which is the first point for A is segregation of duties. Internal audit is one of the hardest to establish, yet segregation of roles is important and crucial. It suggests that no one person should be in charge of more than 2 phases in a transaction or process. At the most fundamental level, it is used to guarantee that mistakes or inconsistencies are avoided or discovered by experts during routine company operations. A business must, in essence, guarantee that tasks and process flows have a check and balance through internal control. For instance, the person in charge of collecting money shouldn't also be in charge of making the deposit and matching it to the source purpose. For point B is develop written policies and procedures. We frequently observe that internal audit failures result from a lack of established policies and procedures. A business should create its own rule and make sure that all of its personnel inside the firm are informed of the written processes. Written procedures serve a variety of functions, including providing written notification of the company's expectations and regulations to all personnel. It conveys to individuals their unique tasks, serving as a training tool for new hires. Without clear, defined, and up-to-date procedures and internal audit functions is compromised, since rules, controls, guidelines, and processes might not be regularly implemented correctly and informally across the business. Overall, important business transactions and associated internal controls of a department's activities should be precisely documented, evaluated, and updated on a regular basis. Point C is review and approve transactions. In addition to what was already indicated, the internal audit function might result in failure since there are no properly recorded approvals. When a significant operation or transaction takes place within an organization, a second level of review and approval by someone who is not a part of the process is required. The reviewer should be qualified to identify errors and omissions by virtue of experience and education. The approval should be documented in order to prove that a review was finished. Independent approvals should be documented with evidence such as reconciliations and departmental financial accounts. Point D is reconciliation and maintain adequate supporting document. By comparing transactions and activities to support paperwork, we might attain correctness and validity through reconciliation. Employees taking part in the reconciliation process must be capable of completing their tasks. To prevent future problems, transactions should be properly supported by documentation. Ample supporting document offer to reliable justification required to confirm that the proper procedures and controls are in place. A company should make sure information is reconciled with the appropriate supporting documents as the best practice. This makes it possible to guarantee that transactions are legitimate and serve the intended purpose.
Next, I will present what is the auditor's role and contributions in investigating the issues in TOSHIBA case. As we know, an auditor is a qualified independent professional who conducts audits to verify the accuracy and reliability of the financial data included in the financial statement that the company's directors have prepared. In order to obtain a reasonable assurance that the financial statements are free of material misstatement, whether brought on by fraud or error, the auditor has a duty to plan and carry out the audit. This is done to determine whether the business follows the set of rules or guidelines that have been established. Therefore, the auditor's role and contributions to the investigations of the TOSHIBA cases issues are as follows. Firstly, is the auditor need to provide an audit report. The primary responsibility of an auditor is to compile a report on the accounts and financial statements that he has reviewed and present it to the company's shareholders. Such an opinion increases the credibility of the financial statements. This is due to the fact that it gives the auditor a reasonable level of assurance that the financial statements accurately reflect the company's financial situation. Furthermore, the presence of such an auditor's opinion guarantees that the accounting and accounting standards were considered in the preparations of the report. Regarding the TOSHIBA case, it was not the internal audit's fault that it prioritized consultation services over assurance services. The error was that it failed to focus on accounting audit. Next is auditor need to make a proper inquiry. The top management at TOSHIBA use impossible goals to set objectives.
The top management put too much pressure on them to meet those goals. A sizable portion of the total compensation is made up of variable pay. Executive officers are paid a base salary based on performance and a role-based salary based on the nature of their duties. Therefore, in addition to checking the quality of financial books and records, an auditor must also look for errors in the company's transactions. An auditor must also evaluate the business financial transactions, potential risks, and management controls. Last but not least, the auditor needs to provide an assistance in investigations. In TOSHIBA case, the audit committee at TOSHIBA lacked both competence and independence. The 3 outside members of the audit committee had no background in accounting or finance. The only full-time member of the audit committee was an ex-chief financial officer who served as CFO during the period when accounting irregularities took place. Consequently, management was not independent of the internal audit. Therefore, it is the responsibility of an auditor to support the officers conducting such an investigation. Investigations is the systematic and critical examinations of a set of business records. Such an investigation is carried out when a company fault already exists, and its goal is to identify the cause and responsible parties. Thank you.